I'm an architect and an urban geographer, and my research interest it started during my practice as an architect when I was focused really on the design part of a project, and I realized there's a lot of decisions that are made concerning this project. So I was asking, who is setting the requirements that define the space in which these decisions are actually taken? And then I started my PhD, which is in urban geography, in urban governance. And now I'm at Tongji, and my focus changed since 1 year to teaching. So for me now, one of the biggest questions is how to teach the future generations of architects, urban planners, and landscape architects to contribute to not necessarily building better cities, but also to optimize the cities that we have today, how to observe these cities, how to identify spaces of improvement, and how to gather the necessary encouragement and the necessary backing, like the funding, but also people's mindset to help work towards an improved city. I'm nowadays very much interested in the digital transformation of the architecture, engineering and construction industry, and how we as designers, planners, builders and operators can work together, and what the new digital tools and the digital infrastructure that got better, cheaper and faster to use, what kind of avenues they are opening. Of course, there's always challenges. I guess challenges, it's in the human nature. That's what motivates people to do a project. Because if you do a project that's easy and you don't have to struggle, it's boring. You're not gonna proceed further. Sometimes you also can work with the people and in the setting you're comfortable with, but most of the time you have to reach out and find new people who give you new ideas. So that's why, like today here, we just finished this Genius meeting, brought together Chinese and German professionals to discuss about sustainable and integrated design for schools in China and Germany. So during these settings, you can get new ideas and you can overcome challenges because you meet people who give you new input and new ideas. And I think that's one of the most important ways of improving our cities. When we were discussing schools, we were always thinking about students primarily who should be learning. We were discussing a lot about the questions that are thought to be sustainable. In China today, the biggest concerns like air quality, building energy use, emissions, noise. But then we also discussed about sustainability in the original sense of the word, which means to be very economical with resources and to pass resources on from one generation to the next. So here we are not discussing about the education environment, but we are discussing about the objective of the education. And I think during our discussions we somehow found that both ideas are interconnected. So if we have healthy spaces, good spaces, spaces where raw materials are used in a sensible way, that also helps us to teach these values to the children because they experience them firsthand. I am German, but I spent most of my professional career in Asia, working for Chinese clients, mainly with German practices or European practices. So I'm in between two chairs. Now I'm a university teacher, so I can have a really good concept about how I want to teach my students, but then I meet them for the first time and I get to know them and I see that they learn different, they think differently, so I have to adapt my teaching method, and that will also change my view of the world or of the student world as a objective, as a subject that I want to teach. So I think good learning always goes two ways, because there is no one-way transfer. The Chinese we collaborate with, and also our friends in personal life, now became much more self-confident and also think that they have something to offer, which I see as a very good development. And I think this is creating a real basis not for the one-way transfer, which runs risks that you transfer things that work in one context but can't be transplanted, but that you really make the effort to adapt solutions or elements that come from one culture into a completely different one. So I think here the two can learn a lot from each other, because on the other hand, China has very old historic structures that are kept very nicely.